Hello, everybody. So yesterday, Justin Trudeau and some of the Liberal government ministers addressed the public about the coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak. And we're going to go through this and really break this down because this is maybe the biggest example of doublethink I've ever seen in my life. They're going to go back on basically everything they've said for the last 6 years, even stuff they were saying like 2 weeks ago. Like 2 weeks ago, they're like, if we close borders, then people will just cross the border anyway, and they'll cross the border in a way that's more dangerous. It's racist to build things in Canada. Economic globalization is good. Trump was Orange Man bad for wanting made in America. And he's going to go back on literally all of this. And the government's going to go back on all of this in like the next half hour, however long this thing takes. And it's incredible to watch. I'm just going to go ahead and say, I think broadly speaking, they're not doing a bad job now. It took them way too long, but credit where credit's due. They've shut the borders. They've basically told everybody to stay inside. Most provinces have locked things down. I think at least they're giving the impression that they're fairly effectively managing supply chains. The grocery stores still have food despite the panic buying. They're working on ramping up production of masks and other medical goods. And it seems at least they're giving the impression. And giving the impression you have a plan is not like unimportant. Because one of the biggest problems we have at the moment is people panicking. People don't know what's going on. People will think the government's doing anything. And I think they're pretty effective at giving the impression that they know what they're doing. And like I said, that's almost as important. So credit where credit's due. I try to be fair on this channel. So let's get into Justin. Why doesn't he just dye his beard if he's going to dye his hair?
Travel, particularly.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Boomer. Let's just go back to the start of this.
In today's announcement, I want to say a few words about travel. We are currently in discussion with Canadian Airlines to help Canadians to come back home. We will have more details to announce, but I can tell you that the first flight will leave Morocco over the weekend. As I announced on Wednesday, Canada and the United States have concluded an agreement to prevent non-essential travel, particularly tourists. Trade will, however, continue. This measure...
But I thought we couldn't shut down the border. We have the longest undefended border in the world. I mean, we can't shut down the Mexican border. Greece supposedly can't shut down its border with Turkey. That would be too hard. We can't shut down maritime borders. But Canada and America, apparently it's easy for them. Who knew?
Will come into effect at midnight tonight. Minister Blair will provide more information on this later today. Furthermore, Canada and the United States are announcing a mutual agreement under which we will now send back irregular migrants trying to cross the border.
Whoa, what was this about? We can never send these people back. These people are suffering. They come first. We have to make sure these people are able to come to our country. What happened to that, Justin? I guess that just disappeared. I thought we couldn't stop these people from entering our country. Like, you literally said this 2 weeks ago. We can't, there's no way we can stop illegal immigration. We can't do it. That's been the excuse for one of the excuses for the last 4 years. And now they're doing it in 2 days.
We're in discussion with Canadian Airlines to help Canadians stranded abroad come home. We will have more details to share, but the first flight will be picking up Canadians.
Sorry, this isn't me. CBC just sucks at doing their own audio balancing.
From Morocco this weekend. As I announced Wednesday, Canada and the United States have agreed to stop non-essential travel, specifically
He's just
for
repeating the
tourism
same thing.
and
Because this is Canada, everything
Trade
has
and
to be in
commerce
English
will
and French,
continue.
so speeches
This
take
takes
twice
effect
as long.
at midnight tonight,
which is annoying.
and Minister Blair will give more details today. Further, today, Canada and the United States are announcing a reciprocal arrangement
let me see if I can
where
speed
we
this up a
at the Canada-U.S. border.
The entire country has mobilized to slow down the spread of COVID-19. Doctors and nurses in retirement have come in to help in the hospitals. And people administering the screening tests and researchers looking for a solution always are working longer hours. The important thing is that people follow the instructions from our public health officials. Frequent hand washing, working from home, limiting travel in order to protect our health and the health of others.
Like, none of this is particularly, I mean, I'm not saying this isn't good advice, but like, we still don't seem to know any, like, how does it spread? Okay, we know it spreads through saliva. What was this whole thing like about farting and like it's spreading through sewage? And we still don't know how long it like stays on external surfaces. We also don't even know, like, because I've heard people say, Argent, if you get it, you need to take ibuprofen and anti-inflammatories. I've heard other people say that instantly kills you. I'll go check the website maybe later, but I think some of this additional information should be mentioned in some of these updates.
But it's not only individuals who want to help their communities. Businesses as well are stepping up. I think, for example, of grocery stores that are opening an hour earlier to serve the most vulnerable Canadians, or manufacturing companies that are asking what they can do to help. Just last week, a number of companies right across the country contacted our government to offer their assistance. I want to thank them for their solidarity and their generosity.
I thought business was evil and greedy. Also, and we're going to get into this in a minute, I thought this was like a form of racism, like relying on domestic industry. I thought globalization was awesome. Like, we don't need to be self-sufficient in any of this stuff. We don't need to be able to produce our own masks or our own weapons or our own medication. That's racism to think that. But here we are, we're like, okay, well, we still have enough industry in the country to build all this, and that's a good thing. And we're celebrating it when these are like the same people who called us racist for like, buy Canadian.
This week, many businesses put their hand up and asked us what they can do. So to mobilize industry to fight COVID-19.
I'm doing because A, I can't stand his voice, and B, it's just really quiet.
To contribute to this fight. Out to us support to medical supply. Thornhill Medical, Medicom, and Spartan Bioscience.
Okay, let me go back.
Help out during this critical time. We are launching Canada's plan to mobilize
health and the health of others, but are stepping up. I think, for example, of grocery stores that are opening and companies that are asking what the contacted for their solid
and asked us what they can do. So today we're announcing a new strategy that will make it easier for companies to help out during this critical time. We are launching Canada's plan to mobilize industry to fight COVID-19.
So by industry, you mean like companies in Japan and China and Iraq? Because that's like, it takes a village to raise a child, and no man is an island. And kids in kindergarten help each other. So, like, you can't get help from people in the same neighborhood or same country. You got to get it from the other side of the world. So I don't know what he's talking about.
To ensure that we can quickly produce here in Canada the things we need.
Wait a minute. Whoa. I thought that was like racism. I thought that was like Orange Man bad. What? We should have our own domestic manufacturing capacity to build vital things, so when crises happen and the countries that make them make the rational decision to not ship it and use it themselves, we're able to build these things? No, that's crazy talk. That's evil, right-wing nationalist racism. Justin wouldn't do that. Justin wouldn't abandon his principles at the first sign of trouble and completely like go back on it. I trust you, Justin. I thought you were the one. I thought you were the C-grade Antichrist, but you apparently aren't. And once again, I'm just going to say, like, I'm going to be making fun of globalism, etc. There's nothing wrong with international trade. There's nothing wrong with the concept of comparative advantage. like we can't really grow bananas in Canada. At least we can't without like greenhouses. We can't really go grow coffee. It makes sense that Canada doesn't try to build these industries and we just import that from other countries. I have a friend who's really angry about the subsidies that the wine industry receives in Canada. He's like, look, we don't need a wine industry. Just focus on something we can actually do and leave that to like France and Australia and Argentina and other countries that have the proper climate for growing grapes. Also, just certain metal, like you can't have, if your country doesn't have, I guess, like cobalt in the ground, you can't make a domestic industry out of like a raw material you don't have. That being said, for things that you can manufacture that aren't really dependent upon, I don't know what masks are made out of. I assume they're made mostly out of paper and fabric and maybe charcoal. And that's all stuff that you can basically produce anywhere in the world. I could be wrong. I guess there's like metal clips made out of probably aluminum or steel and maybe some latex, but I'm pretty sure you could make all that stuff. Hand sanitizer is literally just alcohol. I'm sure there's different varieties of it, but they're going to talk about it in a minute. Apparently, like distilleries can just up the concentration of alcohol in their products, and it just works the same as hand sanitizer. So it's like, I think with these things, there is a role for government to try to ensure we have access to them. I also think we should produce our weapons as much as possible domestically, but that's another topic.
This initiative will help companies that are already making things like masks, ventilators, and hand sanitizer to massively scale up production. It will also provide support to those who want to retool their manufacturing facilities to contribute to this fight. For example, the Auto Parts Manufacturers Association reached out to us asking how they could help. Our healthcare professionals really need support, so our government will help these companies shift production from auto parts to medical supplies.
Now, I'm going to be honest. Once again, credit where credit's due. This all sounds like a really good idea. I mean, the plants aren't making cars at the moment because no one can go to car dealerships. So you put the workers back to work. They build things. They have the factories. I don't know how hard or how easy it is to retool, but you get them to produce something else. The companies are making money. The workers have income. We need the products anyways. It just seems like a very logical, rational public policy thing. And I like that. I like that this isn't political. That for once in his life, Justin is just doing the rational thing. But once again, it's like he's spent his life opposing these things. He spent his life saying people are evil, racist. We can't build this in Canada. We can't shut the borders. We can't prioritize Canadian businesses. We can't do any of this. And once again, that's not to say you always have to go with Canadian businesses or you don't get problems with cronyism. Bombardier has screwed up so many times they shouldn't be getting nearly the number of contracts they get because they, generally speaking, can't deliver. But, yeah.
We're also closing to reach agreements with several other companies, including Thornhill Medical, Medicom, and Spartan Bioscience. Minister Baines and Minister Anand will have more to say on this later today. Our government is also creating new, innovative procurement streams to allow more businesses to develop solutions and products Canadians need because of COVID-19. We will expedite these streams so firms can get to work quickly and these products are ready to use as soon as possible.
I mean, this is all good. This is, I think, what government is supposed to do. They aren't nationalizing the companies. They're not taking over them directly. They're helping to direct industry to deal with problems like information and asymmetry and like tragedy of the commons and providing them with the necessary resources. This all seems like really good ideas to me.
Canada is home to some of the best innovators in the world, and with this new initiative, we will harness their talent and know-how to get through these challenging times. Aujourd'hui,
today, we are launching a plan to mobilize industry to fight COVID-19 so that we can rapidly produce the articles we need.
When they said this, I just thought of like an HOI4 where you move from like civilian economy to partial mobilization to early mobilization to war economy.
Here in Canada. Through this plan, companies that are already producing respirators and masks and things, our government will also be introducing no.
Another thing I really hate about just speeches in Canada is they sometimes give slightly different information in the French and English parts. So, like, 80% of it is the same, but they'll make a couple extra points.
Innovative. So we will quickly, as soon as news, in order to help us come.
Canada and many government agencies have received a historic number of calls from concerned Canadians. We received over 500,000 applications so far this week, compared to just under 27,000 applications for the same week last year. I know people are anxious to get the help they deserve, and our government is working as fast as possible to support them. This is, of course, an unprecedented situation, and it's putting a lot of pressure on our system, but we're on it.
Okay, well, once again, I think he's doing a pretty good job here. I think, like, he probably has someone smart advising him. Because, I mean, look, it's not an incompetence thing. If, as he said, you go from an expected application of like 20,000, I mean, you want to have a bit of extra capacity. So let's say they can handle up to 30,000 and then it goes up to 500,000. Like, you can't deal with that. That's not a government incompetence thing. Private companies can't deal with that. Nobody can handle that increase. But I think acknowledging the problem and going, yeah, there's a problem, we're working on it, you just have to bear with us. I think people can understand that. I think the bigger issue is when you don't explain things, you try to cover it up, etc. I think generally speaking, people are more reasonable for failure or for screw-ups than people think. I think where you get into trouble is where you try to cover it up or blame people. Like in this case, just saying, look, this is bad. We're working on it. It's going to take a while.
Thousands of public servants are working around the clock to help you. I know this past week has been hard on people for many reasons. Working from home while the kids are running around, not being able to visit your parents at their nursing home, not hanging out with your friends. It can take its toll. But it is in these challenging times that we also see what we're made of. This past week, no matter how difficult, was further proof that Canadians are generous, kind, and compassionate, and that should give us all hope. We all understand our responsibility as Canadians. We have to do the right thing, whether it's working from home or practicing social distancing, to protect our nurses, doctors, and everyone who works in our healthcare system. To deal with this crisis, we need everyone.
Another thing I like about this speech is it's a good mixture of like practical stuff. Like he's given some numbers in this, which is good. He said, okay, these are the people we're talking. He's not like being vague. He's like, okay, we talked to these guys. They're saying this. We're going to help them do this. It's like A plus B equals C. This isn't all just like vagaries and pie in the sky. You have a bit of that like in these, but you do need some motivation.
Citizens, businesses, and governments to come together and do their part. That's what we've seen right across the country. I want to thank all the workers who are stepping up and all the companies who are making things our country needs. If you own a business and you're wondering what you can do, reach out. We need your help. Canadians need your help. And our government is ready to work with you to maximize your impact.
By that you mean like Japanese companies, right?
I will end this morning by addressing all those celebrating Nowruz today.
Okay,
in this.
That's cringe. We're just going to skip past that. Let's go to one of the minister's statements down a little ways.
Avant de commencer, je veux pour les
pandemic,
gens qui travaillent
people to help Canadians come home, take well.
line fighting against this. All of the public health workers, all of the health workers, the borders and flight crews and pilots.
You know what my dad started to do? And that's just what a swell guy he is. He started whenever he sees, like he started to thank the people at grocery stores. Like, thank you for your hard work getting us through this crisis. I know it's dangerous, which I know is kind of cheesy and boomerish, but I think it's very, A very swell thing to do.
who have been helping to get home in.
Let me go ahead a bit.
About the Diamond Princess.
Let me just go ahead. I think it's the Sikh minister who
Months
gives the specific stuff.
by increasing our production capacity domestically, that will be a key at 11:59. Our silence will be to all day.
Challenge
One work of our nursing
has been doing there.
colleagues have said, taking a moment to recognize the incredible work of our nurses, doctors, technicians, paramedics, and other healthcare professionals. They are on the front lines of this, and they're doing a remarkable job, so thank you very much. Je remercie aussi les personnes qui ne sont pas dans le secteur
I would
de
also
la
like
santé.
to thank people who do not work in the health care system, but who are working hard to ensure access to essential goods and services. For example, truck drivers, people who work in grocery stores, and telecom workers who are supporting the telework economy, among others. Thank you very much for the support that you are providing to
I want to
all
assure
Canadians.
you that as a government, we're committed to protecting the health and safety of all Canadians, and the effort includes the impressive and innovative power of Canadian businesses. Since the outset of this crisis, my team has connected with thousands and thousands of businesses across all sectors in Canada. Companies are already stepping up, like Dillon's and the Spirit of York distilleries, who have shifted their production to hand sanitizers. As the Prime Minister said, in times of crisis, Canadians come together. And every day, I've been in contact with Canadian businesses, many of whom are telling me they want to help. As we've always known, we have a world-class industrial base in Canada.
Whoa, where is all this like nationalism? Although I've said this in the past, Canadians are the most jingoistic people in the world and the most self-hating people in the world. And you can see this in Justin Trudeau.
And today, I'm asking them to come forward and let us know where they can help. Our objective is to increase domestic supply so that we have Canadian solutions ready to protect and support Canadians. So today, we're announcing Canada's plan to mobilize industry to fight COVID-19, which will swiftly create pathways to deploy resources to Canadian businesses who want to help in this crisis. This is a coordinated strategy that will leverage our industrial base to rapidly scale towards more Canadian production in the products that we need to fight COVID-19. I've worked in close collaboration with the Minister of Health and the Minister of Public Services and Procurement to mobilize our industrial response, and I want to thank my colleagues and their teams for doing a wonderful job.
All right. So they're switching from early to partial mobilization. We're trying to get to war economy. And if necessary, we'll go to total mobilization.
Le plan va mobiliser nos programmes
This plan
d'innovation
will
pour soutenir
mobilize
des
our
projets
innovation
promoteurs.
program.
We've also switched from from free trade to export focus to limited imports. We'll see if we switch to closed economy, though. It's too soon to say.
Programs to
Ces
support
projets vont
promising
favoriser la
projects,
protection de tous les
projects
Canadiens.
that will foster the
This
protection of
country's
all
industrial
Canadians.
policy will be refocused, for the time being, to prioritize the fight against COVID-19. And this includes the Strategic Innovation Fund to deliver direct support to larger companies as well as research institutions. Canada's National Research Council to expedite research and development for small and medium-sized enterprises, and our innovation superclusters to help tap into the national network of 1,800
Whoa,
members.
national.
And Innovative Solutions Canada to help Canadian companies commercialize faster.
I mean, these people are so full of shit. Like, once again, I think these are all good. They're doing a good job responding to this by and large. But this is just so hypocritical. It's so like, as soon as this is over, they're going to go, look, we can't secure the borders. We can't shut anything down. We can't make things here in Canada. We just can't do any of these things.
Funds will be deployed on an accelerated basis with wider flexibility to be able to tackle COVID-19 related problems through shortened applications and faster approvals. We're putting the full weight of the federal government behind this plan. We will also leverage the purchasing power of government to address the immediate need to build domestic capacity and to help make sure that Canadian innovations get to the market faster. And I know my colleague Anita Anand will speak to that momentarily. Companies who are responding to the call to action will be able to directly let us know of their capabilities via a portal on my department's website, which will go live today. Nous voulons que les entrepreneurs, les chercheurs,
We want researchers, industry, and business people to get down to work right away. Their work will progress as quickly as possible.
So far, we've signed letters of intent with 3 companies that we believe are well positioned to assist. Premièrement, Medicom,
First of all, Medicom, a Montreal.
Anyways, I think that that's all good. So once again, credit where credit's due. I think the response is going in the right direction, but I just want to stress how hypocritical it is and how suddenly like all the stuff that they called us like evil and racist and oh, it can't work, it's not possible. And we proved to be like 100% correct, 0% wrong. So hope you enjoyed that video. More coverage to come. God bless.